Welcome to the video, guys. In a throwback to what we see last year, the SNP and Ian Blackford are at it again. Wee Jimmy Cranky has sent her little bullfrog to try and stop Brexit because she knows she will not get the second independence referendum that she wants now, given what is going on, and she was never likely to get it anyway. Now, we all know he's been moaning over the last week or so about how Brexit is going to be so devastating with the coronavirus going on. But in an update to that, it seems he's hatched himself a little plot to try and derail Brexit, once again screaming about the so-called chaos that will ensue from a no-deal Brexit. Though we already know he thinks a Brexit deal will still be a disaster, so obviously you have to take everything he says with a massive pinch of salt. But the Express and a few other outlets are reporting on this today with the headline, Ian Blackford hatches Remainer plot to derail chilling prospect of no-deal Brexit. Ian Blackford has warned that a no-deal Brexit will result in a second blow to the British economy following the coronavirus pandemic, which is really quite laughable compared to the impact staying in the EU would have on businesses and of course public funds when we had to bail out the European Union, as I'm now sick of saying, I've said it so many times over the last couple of weeks. The SNP MP told BBC's Good Morning Scotland that a no-deal Brexit is a chilling prospect. Mr Blackford stated that the fishermen have struggled because of a lack of access to European markets, and warned that a no-deal Brexit could result in other British sectors suffering a similar outcome. And no, Mr Blackford, Scottish fishermen have struggled because of the EU's common fisheries policy. I mean, while all those Scottish fishermen are locked up in their homes, the EU's super trawlers are rolling around the Scottish coast, taking all of your fish. I covered it yesterday in my video, which I will link at the top you will see now. So it's got nothing to do with a lack of access, it's to do with the European Union literally stealing all the fish, leaving the Scottish fishermen only the scraps, and given that we're all in lockdown at the moment, the Scottish fishermen don't even have the scraps, do they? So the SNP once again trying to blame it on Brexit when actually it's the EU. Speaking regarding a no-deal Brexit, Mr Blackford said, "It is a very chilling prospect. No, yous lunatics being in charge of Scotland as an independent country would be a chilling prospect. Along with, of course, the fact that you're a so-called nationalist organisation that wants to become subservient to the EU. They are chilling prospects, in my opinion. On the back of the health crisis, quite rightly, we have had to take measures to protect people, and that's meant that we've crashed the economy. Many people were talking about the UK economy shrinking by 35% as a consequence of that. I can't really see that happening, and if it does, it will soon bounce back. I have to say to the government, it's the height of irresponsibility to then threaten this second blow to the economy if we're daft enough to go down the road of a no-deal Brexit. Actually, I'm pretty sure a no-deal Brexit right now will be the cheapest option for the country and turn out the best. Like I've said, and I'm sick of saying, we don't want any part of the EU after this situation is done, that is for sure. He continued, it would mean, as businesses have alluded to, that this would be a second hit for businesses. Yeah, but what businesses are you talking about? Are you talking about the ones that want the free movement of people and are flying Romanian farm workers into the country? Are they the sort of businesses that you're talking about? Because we, the British public, don't care about them. They don't care about us, so why should we care about them? And if you're backing what they want, definitely means we shouldn't be interested in any part of what they are after. It would be an impact on custom checks, he said, which was debunked last year as complete nonsense by the Chief of Dover. Goodness knows what the trade barriers will be. None, because the EU needs us more than we need them. I can't help reflect that the fishermen in Scotland have found that their markets have disappeared because they haven't got access to markets in Europe. That is a complete load of nonsense. The reason why fishermen in Scotland are struggling is the same reason why fishermen in every part of the UK are struggling. It's called the Common Fisheries Policies and EU super trawlers rolling around stealing all the fish. I do love how the SNP try to blame it on everything but the European Union. You know, they're true masters, because it's not the Scottish people, that is for sure. They are rightly being supported by the Scottish government, but that is a taste of what could come. I would like to hear from some Scottish fishermen to see if the Scottish government is actually sticking up for them and supporting them like they claim. I'm inclined to expect they probably ain't. Earlier today, David Lidington told BBC Radio 4's This Week in Westminster that an extension to the Brexit transition period is inevitable. No, it's not. I'm sorry to say, it's definitely not inevitable, and it would be the stupidest thing this government has done for many reasons, let me tell you that. Mr. Lidington said both in London and in Brussels and in every European capital, talented officials are being taken off Brexit duty to go and work on COVID-19. Frankly, I think that's exactly what the people in this country and every European country would be expecting their governments to do. No, I don't expect the government to shut down every other function of the country to deal with one thing. They should be able to deal with everything that needs to be dealt with because, let's face it, they're spending shitloads of taxpayers' money on running the government, civil service and the rest of it. There is absolutely no excuse. And we will be calling them out once this situation is over and hopefully more information comes out to us. I don't think it's in anyone's interest to delay things indefinitely. The only people who will benefit from any delay is going to be the EU. It certainly won't be us. Now, we also had the National reporting on this a few hours ago, saying that Ian Blackford is now pushing for cross-party support to delay Brexit. So he's moved on from doing it himself to trying to get other parties involved, which, given the Tories' massive majority, isn't going to get him anywhere. He is essentially wasting his time unless there are Tory traitors within the party, which I have to say wouldn't surprise me given what we have seen over the last 3 years, but hopefully I'm wrong. The SNP's Westminster leader is calling for a cross-party alliance to push for an extension to the Brexit transition and prevent the chilling prospect of crashing out without a deal. Ian Blackford said he would be talking to opposition parties in the coming days with the aim of getting them to join in putting pressure on the UK government. The only people who can put pressure on the UK government should be the people of this country who voted for them. It certainly shouldn't be the SNP shitweasels or any other political party for that matter. Let's be honest, Ian Blackford, the SNP are only a shit-kicker party like the Lib Dems or any of the other smaller parties with no chance of taking overall governance in this country. So, with an 80-seat majority in the Tories' favour, you have absolutely no hope whatsoever of pressuring anything. This is all bluff and bluster and just makes you look like an idiot to anyone with half a brain cell in this country. Perhaps that's why we Jimmy Cranky sent you down to Westminster, because the Scots would see you for the imbecile you are and kick you to the curb real quick. Down here, you're out of sight, out of mind. He accused the government, as we heard, of behaving with the height of irresponsibility. You speaking is the height of irresponsibility, you imbecile. One Scottish Tory MP tried to defend the continuation of the Brexit process by comparing it to the hard deadline used by the UK government to reach 100,000 coronavirus tests, even though it has been accused of artificially inflating the testing figures. No, it cannot be compared to that hard deadline. Brexit is a democratic decision made by the people of this country. It goes much beyond the stupid testing targets. 17.4 million people voting for something is a lot more than a few coronavirus tests or the government's promise to do it. The SNP has called for a 2-year extension to Brexit. The deadline for agreeing any extension is June, but the UK government has said it will not seek one. Blackford gave an example of the impact of the coronavirus lockdown on prawn creel fishermen in Scotland, who are having to rely on Scottish government support as access to markets in Europe have disappeared. So that is Brexit's fault. How and why? I will wait for you to explain that one, Ian Blackford, you complete idiot. And the fact that the host likely didn't pull you up on this shows that the BBC is nothing more than a bunch of biased cumbuckets who literally cannot be trusted as far as you could throw them. He added, that is a foretaste of what could come if we didn't have the continuation of a favourable trade deal with Europe at the end of this year. What world are you living in, mate? The EU want our fish more than they want anything else, by the sounds of it. They are so desperate to have access to our fishing waters that they are willing to essentially throw away a trade deal because the government is not allowing it and they are refusing to budge. So there is no foretaste there. This is literally just something related to this coronavirus situation, not relating to Brexit. I love this clutching at straws though to try and conflate the two. This is why I am saying to the government, this is a national emergency, this is a crisis. Let's all of us pull together to get through this, and that means accepting the offer that is already there of an extension to the Brexit process so we don't have a second hit on the economy. No, I think the only reason you want to do it is because you want to remain in the EU, and you know extending the Brexit process will be deeply damaging to the Tory party, which is probably one of your main aims, as is the Labour Party's obviously. Blackford also suggested that the government was pushing ahead with the original Brexit deadlines so they can blame any economic impact on the coronavirus crisis rather than as a result of leaving the EU, which is going to get the Remainers salty because obviously they wanted to blame every tiny economic hiccup on Brexit after it happened. Now, this has essentially ended that, because we ain't gonna know whether Brexit was beneficial or damaging to the country, considering the government has already wrecked the economy. After massive pressure from, guess who, the untrustworthy media. He said he was specifically asking all the other opposition parties to join with him to put pressure on the UK government. Wake up please, Ian Blackford. Even with every single opposition party, you still don't have enough MPs to pressure the government in the House of Commons where it actually matters. You can scream and shout from the rooftops all you want, but when it comes down to it, this is not last year. You cannot actually pressure the government into folding or caving and getting your own way. The government will look like a bunch of simps if they do that, considering they have an 80-seat majority. The people of this country will turn against them. I'm sure Boris Johnson and his team are fully aware of that. Look at what happened to Labour. He said there was a good level of cooperation across the House in the last Parliament, and it is important we establish that again. Can you believe this? He's essentially saying there was a good level of collaboration across the House in the last Parliament because they are all a bunch of traitorous snakes. At the end of the day, look at what they did. Worked together, went against parliamentary precedent, passed motions and laws to stop the government taking us out of the EU, which is unheard of, as we all know. I actually can't believe he had the audacity to sit there and say that. It isn't about trying to rework the arguments we have had over the last few years. Oh yes it is. It is simply saying, let's make sure we take the time to do this in the right manner. That's what you were all saying for 3 or 4 years in the lead up to the election last year, when you all got kicked to the curb and lost all the power that you had. Now, it seems you're hoping to bring it back, but it's not going to happen. The right manner for you is obviously keeping us in the European Union forever. And we already know about the Tory MP who said it adds to the uncertainty and would affect us more. We already know all this. I've pointed it out many times before. Once again, Ian Blackford is desperate to rekindle the Remainers' power from the 2017 to 2019 Parliament, forgetting they lack the ability to do that now and don't have the Speaker of Remain, John Burcutt, leading the line. Unfortunately, Ian Blackford still has the brain cells of a small stone and the consistency of a wet fart. Now before I go, I've started doing live streams and uploading gaming content on my second channel. If you would like to come and join me for a live stream to chat in real time, have an interest in gaming related content on YouTube, or just want to follow me over there because you are a legend, the link will be down in the video description below and as a pinned comment. I hope to see you all there. Now as always, before I go, I want to thank our PayPal, Patreon, Subscribestar and YouTube members for supporting the channel, along with everyone who watches my videos. Remember to let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Leave a like, subscribe with the notification bell and share this video as it helps the channel a lot, and I will see you all in the next one.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors, slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires. And that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going, and we are glad to be going. We're off.